Hey, it's your girl Renee, and this is The Real in Reality with Renee Graziano. And today I have my longtime friend, Somaya Reece.
Hey.
And they go crazy! I'm so excited that you came to the studio. Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. Thank you very much.
you.
And congratulations on all that you have going on.
Thank you.
I know that during COVID, you developed a brand.
I did.
Yes, and you can explain, but I know the name This Fits Me
Yes.
is absolutely wonderful because
Thank you.
I think women, men, they're always like, does this fit me?
Correct.
And what you did with it, and you genuinely, sorry,
Okay.
and you genuinely,
Genuinely.
genuinely,
I'll drop that in for her. I'll be
yeah,
heard.
like
I'll be heard. Stunt double.
I'm like fucking tongue twisted. Okay, you genuinely
Yeah.
designed it for people that I guess suffer with mental health
Correct.
issues, which is depression, anxiety.
Correct.
But it's also very peaceful. The scents, which I was just smelling mine.
Thank you.
Why don't you explain?
Sure. So during COVID, I found myself suffering a lot of the effects everyone else wasn't talking about. So I've always been very vocal about mental health because mental health is very important. I feel that I also grew up in a household where it's like, shh, don't talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know that one.
Yeah, so I've always been on this crusader mission to destigmatize, mental health, mental illness, things that bother us. So what I did is that I created a brand called This Fits Me. And I created it with the name because it is a realistic approach to health and beauty. And you ever try something on and it makes you feel good? You're like, wow, this fits me.
Absolutely.
And that is what it's rooted off of.
And I love it because, I suffer from so many PTSD is
Yeah.
probably like one of my biggest, aside from insomnia. So we were just talking off camera how your lavender bath salts.
Yes, so it'll put you to sleep, baby.
Ooh, I'm going to be like, this will be me. I'll be like, I can't talk. I'm in the lavender bath.
Yeah.
Because this fits me.
Right, yes. So what I did is that I had a brand already, which was a health brand, which we carry a juicing line, the original Slim Tea Detox product, a master cleanse, and a fiber line. So I started with that first, and then I launched a bath brand with a different variety of bath essentials, from paraben-free soaps, no sulfates added, no formaldehydes, in our lotions. They are non-toxic ingredients, but and then we launched our milk baths, which is what I'm going to give you. So I haven't launched the lavender yet. She's the one to first test it. My fiance is off camera. She's the one that first tested it, and she fell asleep in the bathtub. So I know it works.
I'm all about it. If I could sleep in the tub, I'm good.
So scientifically speaking, lavender is a great scent to trigger all of the good endorphins. All of the good things that make you feel good, things that relax your body. It calms your nerves. And these are things that have been used holistically for years, our ancestors. This goes very far back. So I'm a big herbal, forward healing type of a person. People in my family think I'm crazy, but I think it works. My mom gets it because my mom put us onto it.
Okay.
Whenever, the old school recipe of like when your stomach hurts, drink some ginger tea.
Yes, absolutely.
With mint leaves.
Take an oatmeal bath.
Correct.
Yeah,
Take
absolutely.
an oatmeal bath. I suffer from occasional and mainly through seasonal psoriasis.
Okay.
So I created a oatmeal soap, a phenomenal game-changing oatmeal soap that soothes.
That's the one I was just
Yeah,
smelling.
that's the
I
one,
know.
and it's our number one seller.
I love it.
And we also created a women's feminine care soap, which is gentle on all of your lady parts. It deodorizes.
Okay.
And I think that that's another thing that I'm really looking to move forward with is, again, to also destigmatize and to educate people on female and women's body parts,
Absolutely.
our mental health, and things from fertility to menstrual cycles,
Hormones,
all of that. No one wants to talk about it because it's embarrassing.
It's like a
but
taboo.
It's not.
Look,
It's not taboo.
No.
I'm a woman. You're a woman. You get it.
Absolutely. I had a full hysterectomy at 44 years old. And I remember the next day you're supposed to go home. I stayed in the hospital for 8 days afterwards. That's how, like, it affected me. And it was probably maybe about a year ago that I just lost all the side effects of men on pause, okay? Because it's menopause, but for me, it's called men on pause.
Men on pause.
Yeah, we need to talk. We need to make a soap. Men on pause.
Yeah, you know what? I would be glad to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
They must be stopped
right now. No. Dad, I'm going to need you to come down from heaven.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, so, okay. Everyone knows that you came from Love and Hip Hop, and you're so talented. But before we go to your music, I want to ask you, how were you able to switch gears from that toxic environment? And I'm not talking about the TV shows. I'm talking about that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because I come from a lifestyle, not in the music industry, although I've been involved in it, but the toxicity of that fast life. Like, you're very calm and peaceful and zen. I love it.
It's been a lot of work. What I have learned, so there's this thing called toxic positivity, where people are just constantly like, oh, everything's great, flowers, rainbows, yes, meditate. It's not real.
Oh, you mean bullshit artist?
Yeah,
okay.
Basically. The imposter syndrome, that everything is great, look at me, yoga on a mountain. That's not real. Okay, stop lying. It's not real. What is real is that you have to go through the storms in order to see the sunshine. You have to walk in the dark tunnel. Now, you don't have to. In an ideal world, we should not suffer.
Absolutely not.
We should not be suffering, but we live in a planet where suffering happens, right? Well, what I learned is that I'm constantly, so I can't say that my general surrounding is chaos, but in this industry, it's chaos, it's dark, it's just toxic, and a lot of times it isn't even so much it's some people around you, whether it's that they haven't healed or they're jealous of you, or you could be laid up with somebody that's jealous of you. Yeah, listen, we all been there. We've all been there.
Yes, we have.
But something that helped me is to look at it from the outside and to also accept my part in a lot of things.
Oh, that's like the EMDR that I'm starting to do now.
And we'll talk about that too, because I am 100% someone that advocates for therapy. Okay. And so I had to really look outside of myself and really kind of figure out, how am I going to navigate this chaos within myself, within others. And I realized, one thing I do know is that I'm an empath. So I'm very, very empathic. I hold everyone's pain. If you start telling me about something's wrong with you, I'm probably going to cry about it. And it doesn't make me soft. What it is that I feel for people.
I'm one too.
Yeah, I feel for people. So sometimes
it transfers.
Sometimes a lot of people's energy transfers to me. Yeah. And so it's a constant battle of seeing outside of it. So sometimes I can see someone that's acting out, and instead of getting angry now, as before I was more reactive, I can react in a different way. Of course, you press my buttons enough, South Central Somaya gonna come out. I don't know why anybody thinks that just because you're a peace, love, and light, it's not gonna happen.
Absolutely.
It's normal though. See, that's the thing that people get twisted. That's where that toxic positivity it can't exist, because see, just because you're love and light doesn't mean that you'll also not put a foot in somebody's ass.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean you physically have to go there, but you have to stand your ground. You know what that means? Boundaries.
Ooh, I'm learning a lot about boundaries now in my own life, because I was the sister, the daughter. Okay, whatever.
No boundaries.
It's okay.
Correct.
You could talk to me any way you want. I found that transferring into my relationships, not just with, girlfriends and stuff, but with men.
Yes.
And
you give a man a little bit and he'll take the whole foot and your house, your plate, your everything, your heart,
contacts,
your soul.
You think, but you know what? Here's the funny part.
Listen, you can only finesse so far, though.
But here's the funny part about that. For me, like, God is that's my go-to, and I know And we're going to talk about the crystals because I started putting them under my pillows. Listen, I was putting them in my pocketbook, in my bra. I'm like, this got to work, God. I'm telling you.
I'm about to scrub down.
I was literally, and they talk about charging them. Listen, I wanted to get a plug and stick it in and charge it. I wanted to do anything and everything to find myself that peace that I know I so well deserve.
Yes, you do.
As everyone else does in the world. But the fun part about the universe and God and, whomever wants to call whatever they want to call up above, at the end of the day, karma is a real thing.
Oh yeah. And there's a whole lot of cycles that they'll have to go through.
Yeah. There's good karma, bad karma. Like you do the right thing and the next right thing happens. Being in recovery, I found like for me, keep doing the right thing. And this time around, I had an unfortunate situation, which we don't have to get into because it's not even worth getting into.
Yeah.
However, all of a sudden I started doing the right thing by myself, for me. Yeah. Not because someone said, Renee, you should really get the help, but because I knew I needed it. I'm in a movie. I just flew back from New York I got a little, it was just absolutely wonderful.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I look at you and I have such respect and admiration for you because I know this, I know what you went through.
Yeah. We've been friends you've seen the bottom. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But we've had our private conversations on the phone and, I know that you have battled with so many different things.
Battled within myself, within other people. And as you said, that once you start looking at yourself and focusing on the right things and focusing on yourself. And, here's one thing I wanted to say too. So part of the healing process, I learned that actually it's not the wrong thing either. Because you have to sometimes poke the devil a little bit, get burned, and then realize, I'm not doing that again.
Right. That's that when you're a kid. Don't touch the stove. Don't touch the stove, but you touch the stove.
Because we are not here to judge. That's the thing about me. Like, even when I was on Love and Hip Hop, and as a lot of people saw, just everybody was bullying me and just, I was always stood up for myself. But even then, I came to a place where, like, I don't judge what happens. Like who am I to judge? It was more bothering me at the time that, like, why are you judging me? I'm actually a nice person. Like, I could be your best homegirl. Like, I'm definitely somebody you want on your team. Like, but I realized that at the time as well, I didn't, speaking of boundaries as well, right? Going back to boundaries, being somebody that as well have learned to finally start drawing my boundaries the way I used to draw them before versus now. Before, it was probably easier to get like a reaction out of me. Everyone reacts. It's just that the way that I reacted at the time versus now is very different. Right. Because I can look outside of it and just really I don't have to be like, bitch, shut the, I don't.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't even have to do that. Like, look at you.
Right. You can
look at you and look at me.
Without saying it.
Without saying it. And it's not the physical. It's that your life is in shambles. Mine isn't.
It has nothing,
Have we ever, like, that no one really thinks about that. And again, that comes from, how when you started focusing on yourself. See, when I started focusing on things and I also started taking accountability for my part. Taking accountability is a big, big thing. It takes a real maturity to do it.
Listen,
it is not easy.
No, but I had to come to terms
Sometimes
with the fact
we play a part in.
Absolutely. If I didn't allow you to step over the boundary, it couldn't have happened. Be here. Yeah. Exactly. But you know what? Again, I will say that it was one of the greatest lessons I've learned.
Right. You don't see it at the time, right? Now that you look back, you're like,
it's been a month, and looking back over the last 6 months, I'm like, what? Damn, I'm not even mad because I'm solely responsible.
Yeah.
What that person did to me, that's on them.
And that was not your fault either.
But it's also, like, I don't have to own somebody else's bullshit. And that's the beautiful thing. Yes, I can own mine. Yes, they go crazy. They go wild. But I know that. And,
Yeah.
you know, for me to have to say, you know, my sister Jennifer will always be like, you're entitled, you're entitled. And I'd be like, I don't even know how to spell that word. What does it mean? But you know what? Yes, I am. But I'm more entitled to a healthy life than I was those monetary things in my world.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I'm here today.
You're deserving of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to me over the last 6 weeks.
It's good.
It's great.
It's good, and I think that you're seeing it. So what that is you're starting your spiritual awakening.
Yes, because they talk about
You're
that in
starting-
recovery a lot.
Yes, you're starting your spiritual awakening. You're starting to see like, what? So wait a minute. If I just do this, or because my biggest mission in my entire career, which is something you always see, because I know sometimes you'll be like, yo, that really hit me. I believe that God put me through the most horrific things so that I can be a vessel and a voice for those that, one, they haven't found their voice yet. They're too ashamed. They're afraid, or they're suffering.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here. I'm a light worker.
Listen,
I am here.
I agree.
And you know what? And I want to be that for everyone. And I want to help. And I want people to know, like, I went through stuff too. Like, I went through like some really wild things, but it took me a long time to process, and there are things that happen to people that it doesn't deserve. Like, they don't deserve it, right? Like, there are things that do happen that we do have to take accountability for, as we played a part in it. But there's things that we don't. So my mission in my entire career will always be, I'm going to use my platform for the rest of my life at the greatest of heights to be the voice of the voiceless.
Well,
to
I
tell
admire
my
that
story
tremendously.
to help.
Yeah, and you definitely are, and I know because you helped me. And
I try my best.
You do. What I've realized is, and I'm going to talk about something like really specific about me for a second. So back in it was July 4th, 2007, I OD'd, and I ended up being somewhere. Where I shouldn't have, in a hospital. Instead of somebody putting me in detox, they made a decision to put me somewhere else for like a 72-hour situation. And maybe about 3 or 4 hours before being released, I got sexually assaulted. And for years, I could not, the hate that I had, the resentment I had for
Anger.
two people, tremendous. Until one day, and it's so crazy because I could smell this man for years. And one day I had to take accountability that if I didn't take the pills, and my intention was not to die or anything like that. I was like prescribed. I didn't realize my body couldn't handle it. If I didn't take them, I wouldn't have ended up there. What that man did to me is not mine.
That's not your
That's
fault.
on him.
Right.
Oh, and trust me, my Father's in heaven. I know he can work all sorts of magic from up there, along with God. But I had to own mine. And the second I did, maybe a few months later, the resentment eased. Because that person made the decision because they didn't know what to do. So it was the best decision they could make. They didn't know what was going to happen to me. The smell went away.
Wow.
I haven't smelt that
Good for
man
you.
in years.
Yeah, for you.
In
I'm very
years.
proud of you for doing that work.
It was the
You
acknowledgement.
did the work.
You have to do the
Be
work.
proud of yourself for doing the work.
I'm extremely proud of myself, because it's also one less thing for the PTSD at nighttime.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't sleep as it is, but now it's like, it's one less thing to worry about.
Yes.
And I know that's like a lot of information for everybody out there, but like I said, this is
important.
the real in reality with
yeah.
Renee Graziano, so I wouldn't do it any other way.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh, you're welcome.
You know.
It's I don't walk around, we've talked about it a little bit on my show, but not to the extent like what I just said, like I just said it, I don't think anybody wants to really know, like, oh my God, that happened to her? Yeah, it can happen to anybody. Nobody is exempt from.
Because we are the strong friend that no one checks in on.
Yeah. But you know what? God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Yes, that's right. And you speaking about it is going to help someone. I really believe that. And I think that if you have the courage
Yep.
to talk about it, you should.
Absolutely.
Because there's one person out there that is going to hear your story and find hope within the story.
Yep.
You know, and I thank you for sharing it. And I
welcome.
hope that somebody that's listening knows that, you know, it's, you know, the saying, this too shall pass.
Oh, that's my father.
It took
used to
me
say.
so many years to finally get to this place where I'm at now, where I understand what that means. It's a lot deeper than just the
moment will
words.
pass.
Yes,
Yeah.
the moment will pass. Memories never truly fade. PTSD is real. I suffer from it as well. And it's more so working through it, working with it, knowing that if you work with it and you work within yourself, you too will find peace.
And then it takes
It's a long time, but it will, yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
And
is
then
like
talk
when you
about it.
find
Tell people.
Pay it forward. Like that's what I'm
Right.
doing with the podcast.
Yeah.
It's really about, you know, female empowerment and just helping the next woman who doesn't see what
Right,
we're
yes,
able to see
right,
now because we
right.
walked through the fire.
Right.
We're on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Now it's like the sunshine and the rainfall.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's one of those things that like, see, we as women as well give too much.
Oh.
We give everything in every possible way. And that's why I've always been a female forward person, which is why actually when I was on Love and Hip Hop kind of dealing with what I was dealing with at the time, it really didn't even make sense to a lot of even my fans because, you know, I brought my fans from MySpace on there because they know I've always been girl power.
Right.
To me, I'm like girls first, men second. I've always been
Right.
like that. And what I want to say is that what I learned and I took from those experiences is that now full circle, all the ladies when I did the last season, we are past all that.
Amen.
We are all past it. Everyone's doing their own thing. And I didn't hold the resentment, but it took time.
Sure.
But for me, I realized that the resentment that I was feeling was more so because I was coming in with good intentions. I did not have, I'm just not that girl. I don't have really bad intentions. It's just not really who I am. I'm not happy with putting people down.
No, it makes you.
It's-
I was bullied as a young kid, like really bad. Told how ugly I was, and I'm this and I'm that. And then I started with the plastic surgery, and I'm gonna fix this and I'm gonna fix that. But I never took time to fix the inside. It wasn't the outside
inside,
that was
right.
broke.
Yes,
by
right.
no means. I was a beautiful child.
And it's a lot of what happened to you. And again, that's where platforms like this matter. And that's when things like, for me, I use my platform for, you know, people might argue like, you know, like, oh, like, there are people literally on my profile sometimes that are like, I don't want to hear that positive shit. And I'm like, that's okay. It's not for you right now, but it will be. I'm not going to tell them that.
Right.
But one day you're going to hit a wall and you're going to be like,
yep, absolutely.
I need change.
Yep.
You
And
know?
they remember, listen, I had a therapist that she was so rough, but there's things that, and she was my therapist back in 2010 and for many years. And there's times I look back now and I'll be like, Renee, her name is Renee too. Renee said that. And what's crazy is God placed her in my life, and she came from like her godfather was Meyer Lansky. She's a Jewish woman, and it's just like out of nowhere, here comes this woman with a background that can relate. But she was hard on me, and I used to hate it and fight it. But now I can tell you, she made a difference in my life, and I'm sure what we're doing is making a difference. But I want to switch gears for a second. I want to talk about your music.
Yeah,
You have new music.
I do.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So does any of your past experiences, does it end up in your music? Is that how you write your music?
So
explain to me.
Sure.
Because
So
it's very heartfelt, your music.
yeah, I've actually taken a very long hiatus. Hiatus. I needed the mental break. Because, I mean, you're around the music industry. The music industry is probably the darkest industry I've ever been in my life. And I'd like to say that I am really tough, but there are some things that, like, not so much the outside or the fans or anything, it's the internal. Like, I like music, I just don't like the music business.
Exactly.
Every artist says that, and any artist at every caliber will always say that, because there's always so there's the people that have the good intentions for you and they see your vision, they want to work with you, which is rare. And then you have all the people that see you as the cash cow, which is fine. I mean, that's how labels work, right?
Right.
You know, you're there to make money for them, and they're
Correct.
there going to help you make money too. And that exchange makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is having the managers that rob you, having terrible representation. I've had producers that I almost felt like that I never set my boundaries within a lot of the people I worked with. And so for the few songs that I'm really happy about, there are also a lot of other ones that I'm like, I feel like I could have done better. I feel like I could have, but I'm also an artist, so I am sensitive about my music. I'm sensitive about what I'm doing. I'm critical. So I had to take a very long break because mentally it's draining.
Sure.
It's very draining. Tour life is draining. And then people can argue with, well, that's what you signed up for. Right. But I didn't sign up to be mentally abused.
No, I mean, and I can relate
And
to that
psychologically,
in
like,
reality
just-
TV. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm doing it
it's-
for over 10 years now.
Right.
So,
And it's interesting because prior to reality TV, I was a scripted actress. I mean, I was a really huge project in my space.
Right.
So, I had the experience of like actual, like, I went to theater in UCLA,
hey!
I took theater in UCLA. I was in a master's class with one of the number one acting coaches in the game, Aaron Spicer. You don't get to the master's class or in theater at UCLA because you have no talent.
Right.
It's because I was good at that and I was pursuing that. But then I got crossed with people that were more like, no, jump on this trend or like do this. And then I would say no. And then that would turn into, well, I'm not giving you a record.
Yeah.
That is all the time that happens to me.
I'm sure. And then, there's the producers, who wants to sleep with who. Listen, I have been around the music industry for a long time. I've seen a lot of things.
I had to just take a hiatus
Okay.
and kind of like come back with a rejuvenated thought process, and all of the moving forward artistry is going to be based on duality.
Okay.
Everything is based on duality because you can't have light without dark, and without dark you won't find your light.
Yeah.
And we are all duality. We have our moment of, I'm having a good day. It's, I'm good. And then you have a moment of darkness.
Yeah.
So it's important that we embrace that. And so that's where I'm coming forward with it. I still rap. I love reggaeton. To me, the Spanish music is always going to be my first love because Spanish is my first language.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So
right.
like, I love it. Like I would love to, like, for the rest of my life, just make Spanish music,
Okay.
So that's something that was a really big thing to me. But I had to take that hiatus because I had to clean up crew. I
Sure.
cleaned everybody up.
Clean house.
Clean house. The cleanup crew was here and it was me. And now I'm in a really good space. I have also removed a lot of negativity from my life. And by that, what I mean is that, so there are still people that are extremely just, they still try to get a rise out of me or whatever.
yeah.
But how I would have reacted before versus how I look at it now is different. So now I'm in a good space where I have learned that I have to create my own world.
Absolutely.
Because there's always going to be these people that are going to, try to put a wrench in your, in your movement, in what you're doing. And I also have to come back with, what do I really want to do? What is the message that I want to truly put out there? So aside from, helping be the voice of the voiceless, I really want to put forward the reality of life is duality.
Right. Well, it's you wouldn't know happiness if you weren't sad.
No.
And you wouldn't know sadness if you were always happy. Like, so yeah,
No,
they
you
go
don't
together.
know.
Everything. It's like,
Right.
you have two hands. They go
Right.
together. Like, you know what I
So
mean?
yeah,
Like,
so you might get one song that's dark,
Right.
and then you get another song that's light. And it's because the reality of life is that we have to take accountability for one's actions. Well, we don't have to. Everyone can do it at their own pace. But for me, what's working for me and has brought me my peace is taking account for all of the things that have either brought me pain or worries or whatnot, working through them.
right.
Accepting that darkness is okay.
Because acceptance is the key to everything.
Acceptance is everything.
You can acknowledge, you can acknowledge.
Do you know
Look,
how many-
I just burnt my finger, but you have to accept the
Accept
fact.
it.
Yeah, you have to accept it. Is
Accept it.
Look, there's a saying.
Accountability.
It is what it is. I hated it.
Accountability, baby, is the hardest pill you're
Yeah.
gonna swallow.
Yes.
And to me, it was the one thing that I've always been kind of a realist, but you know what? Looking back at how I used to process things and how I process things now, it's gonna make sense. Like I said, so my new approach with everything that I'm doing, which I'm not really ready to so much put out snippets or anything yet because I have a very serious body of work that I'm working on with everything. And another thing too, with artists and females is that I'm not letting anybody tell me what the fuck to do with my body.
Ooh.
And my music.
Ooh.
Okay? And I love, for all the people that I hear, oh, I'm tired of seeing, the sexiness with the girl rappers. Who are you to say?
Right.
Who?
Listen,
I love the female movement that's happening right now.
Well, it's a takeover.
It's finally here. Something I've been wanting to see for years. And being friends with Little Kim, which she's was a big inspiration to me. Has now become a great friend. Of just being artistically free and free as a woman and just be yourself and there was a time where people were like trying to tell me like, oh, you have to be like this or, it's not going to pop or whatever. And, at the time I might have taken some direction. Right. And now I'm like, you know what? No, I feel fly. So guess what?
This is what it is.
This is what it is. And you know what? If I want to put on a sexy dress, you're not going to, you can objectify me because your mind is that small that you can't see past
it. Yeah.
You can't see past it. And that is not my problem because my IQ is up there.
Yes.
Okay. I have created my own self-made movement without a man. So no one can say that. Got my own paper by myself without all of the things
created
that people...
an empire.
Yeah. When they objectify you as a woman, you can't be too sexy or you can't back in the days, this is too much.
What about shoulders?
Oh, no.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you.
We tired of all that.
I'm not going to lie to you and tell you. I mean, I come from a man's world and I never had a problem with, Renee, your place is at home with the kids. I never had a problem with that.
Yeah, that's fine. However, I appreciate women that are,
But now that I know I can make my own money,
yes,
I'm like, wait a minute.
Ladies, go out and get yours.
Absolutely.
I tell my girls all the time, listen, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, be the best one.
That's right.
If you want to be a dope mommy, a single mommy, do that. If you want to go out and get your college degree, do that. Don't let anybody tell you what to do with yourself, your mind, your body, because at the end of the day, we as women, we are the universe. And people hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced that with the body. My ex-husband would always say, you're fat, you're ugly, you have no ass, you have... So what I go and do? My nose, I wanted my nose done because growing up, people would say I look like my dad. And for me, I related it. What do you mean I look like a guy?
Yeah.
No, I looked like my father. I couldn't comprehend that
for
many years until now that he's passed. And now I want to look like my dad, But my ex-husband would say it to me. So got on the table where I flatlined and died on an operating table to change my body. You know what I mean? So I'm not knocking anybody. I'm all about plastic surgery too. Anybody do whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying it would be nice if women didn't have to hear that.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know why we hear it? Because we're powerful.
Right. Or because
The
we don't tell
most
them to shut up.
Powerful, yeah, because women are now truly standing up for themselves. They always were, but they really about it now. Oh, they're going hard, and I love it. I love to see it. I love to see a woman, like, let's say as artists, right? I love a poetic rapper that's fully clothed as much as I love Meg the Stallion twerking.
Oh my God.
I
All day.
love it.
Absolutely.
Ladies, do your thing. Just like Missy says, ain't no shame, ladies, do your thing. Just make sure you're ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. And ahead
There's
of the
nothing
game.
wrong.
Let's talk about the crystals.
Yes.
Because, okay,
Got
so
mine on today.
yours is
Hi,
on.
right?
So we know you're engaged. I'm not going to ask you anything about your personal plans, but I am going to ask you, how is Kay?
Oh, she's great. You guys probably saw her walking back and forth,
Yes,
being silly.
yes.
You know, part of what we were saying about healing and past relationships. I am in a great relationship where I can be myself. Not that I wasn't able to be myself, and I have had some good relationships, but this one is easy.
It's beautiful.
It's calm. It's not.
It's giving.
It's giving. It's, at least a couple times a week, we go for our hikes, and I'm like, how's your mental health today, babe?
I know you were hiking.
All the time. I always ask her, this is our thing. And I really enjoy my relationship now because aside from the fact that we have common interests, like, crystal healing, she's a healer.
Yes.
She's a master numerologist. She has an insane gift.
Absolutely.
She has an insane gift, and I have my own personal gifts too. And what I like is that there's no competition. There's no, there's just like, I learn from her, she learns from me, And from past relationships, I've also learned not to put all my business out there.
Right.
This is why I keep a lot of my relationship half private because,
Right.
Fans always want to know, which is fine, but I'm actually in a really good space. Like I was very happy that, if I'm going to share, especially some of the things that I'm working on now, I would rather it be her than certain people that I've been with in the past, which it doesn't mean that, I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that it wouldn't have
This
worked.
is your person.
Yeah.
This fits me.
This fits me.
Yeah.
This fits me.
It's
and
about
so,
the happiness that,
Right.
that somebody brings you. I think, even for myself, I've spent so much time trying to get the outside, what's the word I'm looking for? Approval, acceptance.
Right.
The acceptance word.
Yeah.
It's not from the outside that
Yeah.
has to come. It has to
Right.
come from the inside.
Yes.
And that's a job for your soul.
Yes. And that's a hard thing to find.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to find, as much as people can, argue that, oh, it's from within. We all know that.
Right.
But do we practice it?
Right.
Do we acknowledge it? Are we taking accountability for it? Are we actually trying to find it? See, I feel like where I'm at now in life is that, you know what? There's no room for judgment. Everyone should be as they are. As I believe that God made us that way for us to be as we are. And we're supposed to thrive.
Yes.
And help each other and encouraging each other. We're all supposed to be a tribe.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Find your tribe.
Find your tribe and stay there because
it's ugly out there, boy.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's sad that as women, you see
And
other
trauma
women.
kind of makes us do other stuff. You know what I mean?
Listen.
Trauma makes us do all kinds of wild stuff. I know.
I own mine.
I know.
Listen, I lost it not too long ago. I had a very hard relapse about a month ago. It was like a 3-day situation. And I'm not talking about partying, but it was like a 3-day situation that I couldn't get out of my own friggin' way. I couldn't. And your girl was like, this is, I adore you and her because she was contacting me and trying to guide me so much. And I had that, I was still head button because I'm like, oh, well, maybe. No, fucking no. The person's no good. That is it, because people come in good and bad form.
Right.
Like light and dark. It is.
Duality.
This is the world.
Right.
So I appreciate it. And the crystals, we're sitting in a room that there's
Yeah, I know, I
crystals
love
all
it.
over, but that's beautiful too.
you.
Explain it. Yes, I'm gonna actually explain some of the healing behind the crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's not getting me, but go ahead.
yeah. So well, one of the greatest things about the crystals, just like, Kay, my girl, she felt something was happening with you. She didn't tell me. And that's when she contacted you.
Yeah.
She has a gift. I don't even know how to begin to explain it, but she'll know something's happening. Just, one of my techs that I work with that does my facials, she was like, I think she's pregnant. And then she announced she's pregnant. Like, it's a feeling. So crystal energy, crystal healing is a big thing that we do. And all crystals have different types of energies and forms of balancing your chakras. So ultimately, you want to find what resonates with you.
5 minutes? Okay.
Ultimately, you always want to find what resonates with you, because it's not always just your birthstone. There's crystals that are outside of things. I like crystals that are a variety of things depending what I feel. Prosperity. This is like the money crystal.
Hey,
okay.
hey, everybody,
see this.
Everybody
Okay.
needs the money crystal.
All right. Everybody needs the pyrite
And I'm
money
going to put
crystal.
up all the information,
Yes.
after the interview, so everyone can reach out to you too,
Right.
because I appreciate you taking the time, and I would love for you to come back again.
Yeah, I would love it.
I think let's have Kay back next
Yes,
time.
yeah.
And let's do something like specifically about the crystals in each one, and we can explain them.
Yeah.
Let's showcase a little maybe snippet of your music when
Yes,
you're ready,
yes,
and
yes.
just really talk more about that female empowerment and paying it forward.
And healing.
Yes, well, the healing.
Destigmatizing healing and therapy.
Yeah, because you know what, I come from a family that.
And I'm proud of you
Thank
for
you.
for doing what you're doing, because listen, not everybody gets to a point where they're like, I do need the therapy,
Yeah,
and
I did.
And it's okay. You know what? We all have to get to that place, and when you do get to that place, it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. But this has been The Real and Reality with Renee Graziano and my beautiful guest, Somaya Reece. Mwah.
Un beso grande.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.